Let's talk about parts, specifically cables. Now, the Elco parts do not have a listing for the draft sensitivity cable. They do have some of the other cables, but I wouldn't buy a cable off them anyhow. Typically, parts like this, they're 2 or 3 times, they can be 2 or 3 times what you can get them off the internet, especially seals and O-rings and miscellaneous parts like that. I never buy them from the dealer. When you have to replace a cable, there's only really a few things you need to worry about. First thing is, what type of mount is it? This cable is a cable mount, or they have a bulkhead style where this is threaded and it has a nut on it, but there's a groove, and they'll have a cable clamp that will hold the groove. Same as right here, and that's all this tractor has. This white is cable clamps. So this is a double cable clamp. It has cable clamps on both ends. That's the first thing you need to know. Second thing you need to know is the stroke. That's from travel the whole way in to the whole way out. And this particular cable is normally a 2-inch stroke. I ordered a 2-inch stroke. Looks like about a 2 1/16, but they have strokes that are in inch increments, 2, 3, 4. If you get a longer stroke, the cable mount will be back too far, and it just won't fit. So you have to get the right stroke. The only other thing you need, last thing you need to know, is the cable size, and that's determined by the thread size on the end of your shaft. This is a 10/32 thread, so that's the size of the cable. They'll have 10/32, quarter, and on up. I believe this tractor might have a couple 1/4 inch. Most of them are 10/32. Looking through the parts list. The only other thing you need to know is the overall length. You just stretch the cable out flat, and you measure from, get this yellow cap off here, the tip of one end to the tip of the other, of course, when it's flat. Now the parts book did list the cable length as 135 inches. So now the cable I measured that was broke, it was under 130 inches. So I don't know if someone had changed it out in the past and put a little short one in. It seemed tight, and I think they kinked it when a tractor articulated, and that's why it broke. But this mounts with a clevis up in the cab. So I got that cleaned out, and I chased the threads out. And on the other end, it threads into this piece here. Now I have to take this back and chase the threads out. I should have done that, but I'll do that. And then get this cable installed. And I did get some parts. I got my other sight glass that was broken, and I got the bushing. I just found that in the local tractor supply store. It's a shoulder bushing for this bushing here, so I can throw it in the lathe and cut it off, or make the oops, I just dropped my piece here. I don't want to lose that. I was able to get the that loose shaft on the draft sensing linkage. I found this pin is just pressed into this plate, and it had been pushed back in throughout the years, probably had taken a blow from something. I put it in the press and pressed it back where it should be, and I took that hat bushing and I turned down the flange of the hat bushing until I had enough clearance to put the snap ring on. I had to shorten up the bushing, the bearing part of the bushing. But I got it all together, and it's nice and tight now, so it's more better. I lost the audio for this section, so I'll have to do a voiceover. Showing a draft sensing system installed with the new bushing. It pivots quite well, and there's very little looseness in the bearing. Problem with the cable when I installed it, though, showing the placement of the cable. The U-bolt holds the cable. When everything is test fitted together, the top of the spring is hitting the cable. Now this may be due to the draft preload is not set, so I figured I would go ahead and adjust the preload first and see if that affects the setting. When you adjust the preload, that draft sensing arm moves forward. I'm hoping that'll take care of the interference. So we'll adjust the draft preload first. There's an adjustment bolt on both sides of the tractor. There's the bolt and on a lock nut. The manual says to loosen both sides in their entirety, and then apply a little bit of preload to either side, it doesn't matter which side, until one spring on each side has a small amount of tension. Well, I preloaded the left-hand side spring and found out that both springs on the left side were under tension, but the other side had not tightened up at all. So this side has no preload on the bolt, but both springs are still loose, where the other side they're both have a little tension on it. I believe this problem is due to wear. This adjustment according to the manual is a starting point and can be changed to suit field conditions. So I don't think it's that critical as long as they're both set the same. As you tighten the first bolt, which I am on the left side, the draft sensing arm should move forward about 9/16 of an inch. I measured between the back of the cylinder and the front of the cylinder and back of the arm, and I have about 1 inch and 11/16. So I will continue to tighten the left side screw until I get 2 1/8 inch measurement. The manual then says to tighten the other bolt until it starts to add pressure to the spring. And then you're supposed to give it a 1/4 turn more. I got the other side adjusted. I followed the instructions pretty much, but as a little extra, I continued to tighten it just a little bit more until this moved about a 64th. And then I backed it down till it was back to its original measurement. So I feel that That way both springs or both bolts are equally loaded. Well, I have the draft set where it should be, and I got everything trial fitted. I'm still running into a problem. I got two problems with the cable. The cable hits the spring, and also the groove is a little higher than the bolts. I set the travel in the cab. That has a clevis you thread on, and I set that so that the lever could travel the full way in the console from stop to stop, so there would be no excess force on the cable. And I have this threaded stud that connects to the linkage. I have it about halfway, so I think I'm going to have to do something to extend the where the cable clamp goes. Now, as far as the spring, I noticed it's on a threaded bolt, and the bolt is just barely through the end of the locking nut. There's plenty of thread, so in looking at the mechanism and how it works, I'm operating the hydraulic lever now for the draft height. There doesn't seem to be any motion over here, just a very slight motion in the spring. So I don't think this spring is used. It's just more of a safety device. And there's no adjustments in the shop manual for it, so I'm going to do that, but I guess I'll have to pull it off. This nut, you can't get a wrench on it where it is in here at all, and it's so close to the edge here. I'm going to have to take off the snap ring and push this block over a little bit so I can get something on there. The nut's kind of messed up where someone's tightened it up as expected. I took this apart, chased all the threads, got everything cleaned up, and I seized, installed that screw a little farther in. Looks like the cable would just miss the top of the spring. When you get it all together and get it running, you raise the 3-point hitch as high as you can, and there's supposed to be a ½ inch of free travel. So if you pick up on the arms, this will travel an additional ½ inch, and you use this adjustment screw here to do that adjustment. Where it is now will just clear if I have to shorten this linkage up, then the spring will probably be hitting the cable. So I think I'm going to make a little adapter. I have to, since the cable groove is here, and the U-bolt would want to go about there, I think I'm going to make a little adapter plate, take care of both problems at the same time. All this cable does is pick up on this linkage, so whether it's picking it up from there or there, that's not really going to make any difference in the operation. of the system. So onward and upward. Well, I got the bracket done. What I did is I took this piece and just cut it off, moved it over, moved it up a little bit. That seemed to work as good as anything. I got the spring tightened up, so I got some good clearance there. I think through the actions of the draft system, nothing will hit. And I got good travel on the sensitivity. And I got top cover on. Means I put 15 gallons of fluid in it. You can see the oil level is just about a quarter of the way up in that sight glass. Nose is down a little bit, so the fluid's tending to run to the front. But good news is no leaks so far. Won't know till we actually start moving it. We have all the leaks taken care of, but we got a good start on them. I got the new draft sensing cable run, and I got the cables under the cab gathered up and back in the clamp. They weren't in the clamp. And putting in this clamp that goes underneath the edge of the cab, right in this area. I got to check, see which way it goes in. I think it was in backwards last time, so I'll have to double check. Oh, that's progress. Guess cabling's just about done. Hoses and the hydraulic system is about all that's left.